Welcome to The Kingstonian, a podcast that profiles people who are passionate about what they do for a living, what organization they belong to, or the community they are a part of. Here is your host, Dave Cunningham.
Thank you, Steve. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Over the past 5 years, I've had the pleasure of profiling many different singers and songwriters, not because I consider myself an expert, but I know what I like to listen to and what talent impresses me. Our guest in this episode is someone I have not met until today, but I like what I hear and how she delivers. First heard her perform at the Isabel Bader Center, a concert performing venue here in Kingston, for the National Campus and Community Radio Association Conference this past June. Her name is Savannah Shea. Welcome, Savannah.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you for having me.
We want to remind our listeners that we are recording this conversation in mid-September 2022. So let's start off with this. Music has been a part of your DNA almost since the beginning, correct?
That is correct. Yes. I definitely family from both sides. From my mother's side, I have a vocal teacher, and my grandmother created a whole dance program at University of Alberta, so very artistic, musical side of the family. And then on my father's side, it's a church family. So my grandfather was a minister, and then my uncle was a minister as well. And sort of through that, a lot of music came out of church, which is common for people. And so often at family gatherings, we'd have a moment of all the cousins gathering and aunts and uncles and sharing some songs. And before meals, we'd do sort of, 25 people singing some kind of prayer and that kind of thing. So definitely singing from a young age. And then I had some very influential teachers. My grade 3 teacher, Mrs. Fisher, I think she was the person who really put music in as a thing to work on and practice and get better at. So yeah, it's been around for a while.
Now, I read in your notes that you participated in the Cantabile Choir.
Yes.
Now,
also,
for those,
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that choir. First of all, what is it? And give people a little description who may not know what the choir is all about.
Yeah. So it's a local Kingston community choir. And it's not a professional choir, but it's kind of close in energy to begin a professional choir. I started in it when I was, I think, in grade 7 or 8 in the youngest choir, and you practice once a week, and you start to learn the skills of reading music and sharing song with other people. And then as you grow, it gets a little bit more intense, multiple times a week, and then each year there would be, I think, maybe 5 or 6 big performances, maybe 4, I might be misremembering, but like a lot of opportunity to work very hard to put together professional sounding music and then present it to people. A bit different, not a solo capacity, but learning those skills still was huge for me. And then in the older choir that I was in, there was like opportunities for touring. So we did stuff around Canada. And then we also ended up going to Cuba at one point as a choir, which was like a huge, amazing thing to do. And all directed by an incredible person, Dr. Mark Surratt, who is just an absolute genius, musical inspiration. And the choirs now are being led by his son, Jeff Surratt. So both of them are incredible. And we got to work with different languages and different guest directors. And yeah, just a very like mind-opening experience. And if I could like sort of sum up the peak experiences of being in that choir, it was being in a big church with like 200 people all singing the same song and in kind of in the round. And I don't know, nothing really replaces the feeling of having 200 people singing together. It's like kind of the best thing there is.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, when you decided to go to school, I think you started off with a musical therapy program is what you were looking at initially, correct?
So yeah, coming out of high school, I was pretty unsure of what I wanted to do. And I had thought about musical therapy, but I kind of, it took me a while to like let myself dream about being a musician in any capacity, even in a therapy capacity. I was like, I can't really say it out loud. So I actually did do a year at U of T just in English right out of high school. And then just because my brother went there, it was easy. I was like, I'll just go. But I was 17. I had no idea. And then I took a year off. Or did I take? Yeah, I took a year off, and then I did a year of music therapy at Acadia, which was me dipping my toes into like, oh, I can be a musician. That's something I can do. And then through that program, I found the things that I enjoyed most was like, I would go and I'd perform with the jazz band, which wasn't a part of my program, or I'd go and like do other performances. And I was like, oh, I really like performing. So the music therapy kind of got pushed to the side, and it's something I'm still very interested in. And I think it's an amazing occupation, but it might be something I do further down the road. And I sort of had this realization that I wasn't being fully honest with myself about what I wanted to pursue in the field of music. And it was maybe like the safest bet as a musical pursuit, but I was like, no, I want to perform. And so then I left that program as well. And took a couple years off and came back to Kingston and started really like getting into performing.
Now, when you started school at the post-secondary level, did you know how to play the guitar at that particular point, or was that after?
Yeah, I started learning. I mean, if I saw me playing the guitar now, I would say no, but I was playing guitar. Yeah, no, it was good. I remember playing some open mics at U of T, and even it's so funny because even on the first day of Frosh at U of T, I remember going to an open mic and seeing this girl perform. And I was just like, wow. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. And then I had to do this whole year of an English degree. And I was like, what am I doing? But yeah, I think I started playing guitar in grade 8, and it was mostly self-taught. My dad plays and my brother plays, so they would teach me things here and there, but I'm pretty stubborn. I'm not a great student, especially from family members. So it was just me kind of picking up chords and then playing for, I worked at summer camps, so like campfires and that kind of thing. And yeah. And
it's like your dad trying to teach you how to drive.
Oh, it's yes. And not quite as bad as that, but that is a strong core memory for me. He's a very good driver and he's very good lessons, but that was a challenge. That was and also standard drive, like shift stick, yeah. Which was not a pleasant experience.
I bought a car and I didn't know how to drive a standard, so I had to have somebody drive it off the lot and teach me.
Oh wow, that's amazing! But it's crazy. So fun once you get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Fun. Yeah. Question: when you transition from singing as part of a big choir to singing all by yourself on a stage, what was that like for you?
Oh, exhilarating! Just I think there's. Maybe the best marker of it was there's many moments in the choir where Dr. Stewart would have to sort of point his hand in my direction and just push it down and be like, just be a little quieter, Savannah. I think
there are other people here. Yeah.
In my mind, I was already doing that. It's a whole other skill to sing with people. But yeah, I mean, definitely nerves like early on. I did my first ever like performance in grade 8 at a coffee house. I sang In the Arms of an Angel by Sarah McLachlan, which is an extremely sad song for a child to be singing. But yeah, I remember being nervous, but very excited. And it kind of started a little bit like the earliest performances on my own were kind of in a musical theater space too. So like you'd be singing on your own, but you'd be in a cast. So it wasn't like, here, I'm Savannah and this is my show. It was like, I'm a character, I'm going to sing. And that was a little bit of a thing I could hide behind.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely nerves at the beginning and lots of mistakes. Yeah.
Now you started doing that early on. So when you were in university trying to decide what direction you were going to go to, you were also doing or continuing to do open mics, I gather, to perform your skills. Yeah.
I think I was, it's a little bit hard to remember, but I think I was like, almost like a hobbyist, I'd play with my friends and in a way that I'm almost envious of now because there was just sort of this pure joy, like there was no purpose for it. It was just for fun. Which now, sometimes I struggle to regain that sense of joy around music just because it's a job. But yeah, I was just playing in my room. And if there would be like an open mic, I would go, but it wasn't something, I wasn't like going to open mics regularly at that time. It wasn't until after I left Acadia that I really started like seeking the open mic scene. But yeah, I think it was so buried deeply in the subconscious as a dream that I kind of, I don't know, coming out of school, the pressure of like where to go to school and what to do, it all feels like that's not really a possibility to pursue it full time.
So you did decide to pursue it full time in one way, shape, or form. And
Mhm.
I'm interested in the business of, okay, so you talked about the joy of performing when it wasn't a job, but now it
Yeah.
is a job. So there's a
Yes.
different perspective on all of this. And I've spoken with a lot of different people over the years who are in this business. And I have found, even with my radio background, years and years ago, I was in radio for quite a while. And I noticed that a lot of performers who are successful because they write their own songs. And
Mm,
that's what sets them apart,
right.
usually anyway. So you decided to start writing your own songs.
Hmm.
And let's talk a little bit about that. How would you describe your style when it comes to songwriting?
Mm. Yeah, I would say lyric driven. Um, Definitely like a song doesn't feel complete until all of the lyrics make sense to me and I
Mhm.
could stand behind them and sing them confidently. Um, folk with like maybe a hint of jazz inspiration in there and a little bit of blues. I primarily folk is the idiom that I write in. Um, but it definitely goes all over the place for piano. I definitely get a little more jazzy or yeah, it's hard to describe genres at this point because there's like indie folk and like more traditional folk. It kind of, yeah, it's all over the place. But I think for me, when a song feels like the songs that I really love are the lyrics are like the most true and they mean something to me. And yeah, I'm not too concerned with structure. Like I have so many songs that don't have choruses. Like it'll just be verse, 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 it's kind of storytelling. And I'm very into a short song, just say as much as you need. And then if it's done, you don't have to put a bridge in if you don't want a bridge.
How would you categorize the themes of your songs?
Yes. Great question. Like nature, love, sort of self-discovery. And I'll say like, I'll say God, but it's not religious God. Like I've done quite a bit of deconstruction around my connection with spirituality. I'm not a churchgoer anymore. And it's the sort of the universe, whatever,
Mhm.
contemplating what is this life and that kind of thing. So, and then lots of love, kind of, heartbreak love songs or like happy love songs, or not too many happy ones, but there's a few.
Where would we be without heartbreak songs?
I don't know. It's yeah, it feels like an easy channel to the honesty in yourself.
What about influences when it comes to songwriting? Any
Yes.
particular
So,
songwriters influence you?
um, I mean, a lot of my very close friends, actually, like people I went to school with, I ended up going to Humber after, I left Acadia 2 years after. And so there was a lot of people there that just being in close proximity and getting to see people write amazing songs around me. So my friends, to shout them out, Lauren Dillon, Emily Steinwall, Ellen Torrey, those folks are just incredible songwriters and many more. But on people from the perspective of people you would know, I'm tentative to really say anyone because I don't have like the depth of knowledge in like one catalog. So I'll say Joni Mitchell, but I don't, if someone was like, oh, let's talk Joni Mitchell, I don't have
Mhm.
that knowledge, but the songs that I know in my heart of hers are like a huge part
Yeah.
of what I do. Um, and yeah, like Bruce Cockburn, same deal. Don't have the depth, but his song "All the Diamonds," like that one song, has been kind of living in my head forever. Um, I'm just now starting my Leonard Cohen discovery period, which is really fun. um, and then yeah, I don't know, John Mayer. Even I think his songs are beautiful, and trying to think of other. I know I'm missing people.
When you do that, when you talk about you're just discovering Leonard Cohen,
Mhm.
how do you do that? Do you just sit and listen to song after song, or do you read his lyrics, or how do you do that?
So it's so a fun secret, not secret, but fact about me is that I'm not much of a music listener at the moment. Kind of since coming out of a music degree, I've been not much of a music listener. So the way I listen to music now is I listen to music that I have to learn for shows, and that's fun. It ends up being fun. I listen to music when I'm dancing, which, doesn't happen too often, but once in a while. And then I listen to music sort of like one song at a time is what I would say, is like, I don't listen to a large content, but I'll find a song that I love and I listen to it like 40 times or whatever.
Over and over again. Yeah.
Over and over again. So I was tasked. I have a wonderful friend who's, we're sort of doing an exchange. She's helping me with some stuff. And she said, in return, can you learn some Leonard Cohen songs for me? Which is a beautiful exchange, because what a gift to me to learn Leonard Cohen. So I basically just started at the beginning, and I've been listening to, my song that I'm on right now is One of Us Cannot Be Wrong. It's the last song on his first album, I think. And I've just been listening to that song over and over again. And that's how it's starting. And then I know there'll be a next one. I think she recommended Tower of Song, which I haven't ever heard. And I'm excited to hear it and listen to it over and over again. So it's slow. It's not I'm not like an excavator, really. It's just a
Let's transition to performing, and this
Sure.
is a natural point to do that. So you're picking a song when you're on stage performing, generally speaking. What's the proportion of your songs to other people's songs?
Yeah, it depends where I am. If I play, there's a place that I've been playing for years now called Musiki Cafe in Kingston. I think it's like just one of the coolest little venues in Kingston. They've been extremely supportive to me throughout my career. And so when I play there, I feel like I have more agency to play original music, because people come there to see me. It's, they're choosing to be there because of the music. So there I'll play, honestly, depending on how many. Sometimes playing covers is exactly what I want to do. Like I get inspired, even learning this new Leonard Cohen song. Like I'm like, oh, I'm going to definitely put this in a set. It feels important. But yeah, that might be half and half or a little bit more original. Depends on. And I've done shows that are all original as well. Like sometimes it depends what mood I'm in. But then I do play a lot of like job shows that are like at bars or patios or whatever, and that's mostly covers, just to, people aren't really listening. It honestly feels a little bit hard to play original music to people who aren't listening.
Yeah, if it's a nice quiet ballad, it's hard to do that in a bar. For sure.
And most of my songs are slow and sad.
When you are performing, what kind of venue do you prefer to perform in? Concert halls, bars, clubs?
So recently I've been really enjoying, I mean, I know this is not a kind of venue, but just the patio at Musiki it's this back courtyard. It's like pretty big, but it fits maybe like comfortably 20 people in the audience. And the stage is, it's outdoors. There's something about that space that I love, because I make an effort to talk to my audience a lot. Like I really enjoy banter. I ask a lot of questions, and my goal is kind of by the end to get everybody talking to me and to each other and sort of creating that space together. So that's been really fun. But if I'm dreaming and have a little more of a budget and time and space, I would definitely prefer, I would love to be playing concert halls, to do, I've always sort of said, my dream would be to do like a soft seat theater tour because I like people being able to sit and be comfortable. I'm not putting on a party, so it's not really like dance energy. And I like people that are there to listen. And if you don't want to be there to listen, that's fine. I don't need people to like what I do. But if you're there, I like you to be listening. Yeah.
When you are putting together a show, and sometimes you perform alone, sometimes you perform with a band, and on occasion you perform with the Big Fat Horn Band, which for those people who are not from Kingston is a 10-piece orchestra with horns and guitars and drums and bass. And it's got a great sound. And they have a regular lead singer, Michael Myers. But
shout out Mike Myers, my favorite.
From time to time, they bring in guests, and you have been one particular individual who's been invited to perform with them. Talk about the differences in performing alone, performing with your own band, and performing with a big band like the Big Fat Horn Band.
Yeah, I mean, performing with them is so much fun. It's so nice to just walk up without any gear and not have to worry about anything. I just get to learn the songs and show up and be surrounded by this wall of sound. Especially I play songs with them that I play on my own as well. So doing a song like Natural Woman with that energy behind you, it's so much more fun than me playing guitar and singing. But every scenario calls for something different, and you can't afford to pay that band every time you go on stage. So yeah, no, I'm super grateful to be able to do those. I'm going to be singing with them coming up this Christmas as well. And then in February and July of next year. So I just booked those yesterday. So I'll be back with them. And in terms of, honestly, I'm a musician, like, because of the connections I get to have with people and the space I get to share with other people. So I'd always prefer to be playing with other people. I do love to play alone, but that has come out of just like the necessity of money, and I play alone because I can make more money. And I definitely like to be in control, be the front person, like be able to create that space with the audience. But yeah, I have the people that I play with, I love them so much. And if I could have them on stage with me all the time and pay them really well, I would do that.
I'm a big fan of harmonizing when it comes to singing.
That's
and
my
when I saw you at the Isabel Bader Center in June, you had a woman with you who was harmonizing with you, and just the mix on that stuff was great. I love that. Yeah,
that's Ellen Torrey that I mentioned earlier. And like, they are just one of the best people for me to sing with, because it's I don't know, we have sort of a soul connection. We have matching tattoos. we met at Acadia. And yeah, singing with Ellen is just one of my favorite things. And yeah, harmonizing in general, my goal always would be to just have singers around me and just be singing in 3-part harmony. And I've thought a lot about wanting to do a setup of 3 singer-songwriters together and in a band. And then we do our own songs, but we all sing on each other's songs and have that. It's hard to find people and schedules, but I think that's something I'm going to do at some point. I had a band when I was in Toronto, and it was 6 women and non-binary folks, and we all sang on a lot of songs. Like all 6 of us were singing, and that was just the best.
Now, do you write the music as well as the lyrics for your songs?
I do. I'm not a very controlling arranger. So I write the bass part, and then like the bass, not the bass, but the basic part for the guitar or piano or whatever it is. And then I just bring it to the people that I play with and say, do you want to play on this? Here's the chords, play whatever you want, which has begotten so much more interesting things than I could have thought of, because they're very good at what they do. And
well, that's what I like too about that show that I did see you perform in, was the business of the other people in the band doing their thing, which was a little different from the straight folky approach. Right.
Totally.
And that's sort of set you apart in terms of the way the show materialized when I was watching it. That was great.
Thank you. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Singers. We talked about songwriters and the influences on you. What about singers? Who do you like to listen to, or who do you get mentored by, even if only by record?
Yes. I like nothing more. Singers, I'm obsessed with singers. I can go forever listening to, like, I don't know. I'm just so excited getting asked that question, because it's my favorite thing. Adele was huge growing up. Etta James, Aretha Franklin, lots of Black women, lots of Black men, like I owe so much to the art that they've created, and honestly, like probably church that they've come from. Right now I'm really into this amazing singer-songwriter, Madison Cunningham, Lizzie McAlpine.
No relation.
No. Imagine, that'd be so cool. I know there's like, and then there's people that I love that I don't necessarily try to emulate, like Billie Holiday, Frank Sinatra. Oh, I love Frank Sinatra so much. I just could listen to him forever. Smooth
singer.
Yeah, and similar. Gregory Porter, and is another amazing jazz singer. I'm gonna forget. I almost hate doing this, because there's hundreds of people that I could list, but.
The first 3 people that you mentioned are women with a lot of range, who can really go up and down the spectrum. And that's a joy to listen to when you have somebody on stage who can do that.
Yes. And the power of it. I think it's like power and confidence. Like even Shaka Khan, I'm learning some Shaka Khan right now, and she is just otherworldly. Yeah.
See, not too many people know who Chaka Khan is, because
well,
I can remember
directly,
Chaka Khan, from years and years ago when she was quite popular and had a lot of her music being played everywhere. One of the things I read about you was that you are into visual art. You paint.
I am. As I gesture to, you can't see this on the podcast, but I'm gesturing to a bunch of paintings on the wall behind me that I've done.
Is this something you've done all along, or it's a recent hobby that you've picked up?
All along, but it comes in waves. I kind of, because music is the chosen job, I let art be in flow. I don't try to force it as a thing I should be doing all the time, but it comes in waves. And I kind of go through periods of getting very obsessed with doing one sort of thing in the realm of art. And so I had a period of doing a lot of these sort of very colorful landscapes. And just recently I've done all of these sort of self-portraits. They're like blind contour self-portraits where I don't look, but then I draw myself. And so I've been going through a phase recently, but it comes and goes, and I'll have a little spurt and then I'll like sell some art and then it's gone. And I just can't force it. And I can't make it a job because I can't kill two of my passions with requiring money.
Now, does the art influence your music or vice versa?
I don't know that they influence each other necessarily. I think they work well together. Like I've painted all of my album covers. Like I use art for my music. I create posters. I don't know that they really interact too much. I've done things where I'll like paint songs or, like I have tried to incorporate them, but I think they kind of just walk beside each other as complementary entities that I think they both just truly express my internal world well and in different ways. So they're not.
That's a good way. It's a good way of putting it. They walk beside each other. Like
yes, that. Exactly.
Something I've asked other musicians, performers, how has COVID affected you and your business, if you will?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it totally changed the game. I was finishing my degree, so I was in my third year at Humber when COVID hit. I had just completed my third year recital, which is sort of the big project, which I was very lucky to get in there. And then COVID hit and I moved home, and then I moved back to Toronto for my fourth year, but I was online. So I wasn't really in school. I just went occasionally to do my recording project. So coming out of school with not so much momentum was hard, because I imagined sort of like coming out, recording this project, going out, playing it, and then I moved home again after school. So I always had imagined that I would be living in Toronto, but I'm not so much of a city person, and it felt very sad being there without too much to do. Mm-hmm. So I came back and, fortunately was able to move in with my parents for a bit and save some money. And I think the positive side of it would be sort of deconstructing my identity as a musician and allowing myself to be a human being for a little bit, and recognizing it's like, it was almost like challenging, why are you doing this? And then when I still wanted to do it after 2 years of not really being able to, I was like, okay, I am doing the right thing. It wasn't a whim. And then, just now, over last year, I'm a music teacher as well. And it was just a lot of stress having to be constantly concerned about the health of all these people you're teaching and yourself. And it wasn't great. I'm a very anxious person, and it caused me a lot of anxiety. I probably wouldn't be in Kingston now if it wasn't for COVID, but I'm pretty grateful to be here because feel like I'm building something that I'm proud of. And
what is it you teach?
I teach voice or guitar? Voice primarily. I do teach like songwriting and self-accompaniment and that kind of thing as well. So if students want to learn how to play along with what they're singing, but I'm not I'm a mildly illiterate guitar player. So I have a sense within myself of what I'm doing, but translating that to teaching was, I did a 4-year degree in voice, and I still have gaps in that knowledge. So I would feel very uncomfortable teaching guitar.
As we move forward, What is the plan for Savannah Shea in terms of career aspirations or expectations as you start to build or continue to build?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I have been reframing how I think about that question because I'm doing kind of exactly what I've always wanted to do right now. And so there's not, I'm trying not to, I don't know. I'm just trying to like actually appreciate that and be with what's happening right now, which is like I'm teaching and I'm gigging and I don't have another job and I'm able to support myself and I'm happy. And so, I mean, day to day, it goes up and down, but like I'm career-wise, I'm pretty satisfied. And what I want to do is just become the best voice teacher that I can be. I'm taking a course right now on teacher training and vocal training. So I'm getting better at that. I'm always learning new music. I want to be the best, most present, kind of constantly growing performer I can be. And it's more about what I can bring to the people that I'm performing for rather than like where I'm performing or who I'm performing for. Obviously, I would love to, I'm going to start to try to play a little bit in Toronto, a little bit in Montreal and be out in the world a little bit. But to me, it's more important that I stay connected to what I'm doing and share that with the people that are in front of me. And it doesn't really matter where they are. And I could do this probably for a long time and be really happy. So
where does recording fit into all of this? Sharing music with other people outside your normal performing area.
Yeah. So I have not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, I'm recording a piano and voice EP at the Isabel Bader Center in Kingston, which is a beautiful, expensive, fancy theater in Kingston. So I'll be recording there with an amazing piano player, Mike McKittrick, who you saw at the CFRC show. It'll just be him and I. So I'll be recording that EP and then in October sometime making some videos for it and putting that out. And that's kind of the recording I have on the books for now. Often when I write a song, I'll just make a little demo in my room and put that out. And I don't have plans at the moment for an album. I don't have like space or funding or whatever, but when the time comes that I can apply for grants and get on that, it's something I want to do. But I'm not feeling so goal oriented at the moment. I'm feeling like, how can I make, like, I have to enjoy my life right now because this is the life I have. And it's not about getting somewhere. It's like, how do I live every day? Because that's what's happening.
Exactly. Yeah. Looking forward to what comes next for you. And I certainly appreciate the time you've given us today to talk about your music and your performing, and all the best going forward.
Oh, thank you. I'm very grateful to share. And thank you for all the lovely questions.
Our guest in this episode was Savannah Shea, a singer, songwriter based in Kingston. And for more information on accessing her music, her art, and performance dates, head over to her account on Instagram. And that address for Instagram is @Savannah Shea Music, all one word. And to those listening to this conversation, thank you, and we'll talk soon.
The theme music for the podcast is Stasis Oasis, written and performed by Kingston musician Tim Aylesworth. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions about any of the episodes, please send a note to the kingstonianpodcast@gmail.com. For details on upcoming guests, follow us on Facebook. The Kingstonian Podcast is hosted by Dave Cunningham and produced in Kingston, Ontario, Canada.